Hello and welcome to another lesson in our VBA programming, and in this lesson we're going to continue with object variables, and for that matter the worksheet object is going to be easy, fun and straightforward. Okay, now if you haven't watched our previous tutorials, we have the links in the video description below. You can just check them out and get access to our previous lessons. And also, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, just do that. Make sure you press the bell icon so that you can receive notifications anytime we upload new tutorials. Now let's quickly delve right into today's lesson. It's going to be easy and fun. Let's quickly delve right into that. Thank you. Hello and welcome to another lesson in our VBA programming, and in this lesson we are going to look at object variables, and one of them that we'll be looking at here is the worksheet object. We will declare it as a variable and see how we can simplify our codes with it. So let's dive right into that. There's also another way of simplifying our code so that it doesn't get boring. Okay, so and here too would have copied and pasted stuffs, okay, but then I wouldn't want it that way. We need to do everything from scratch so that it can give us deep understanding of all that. So this is going to be our project 4. So we need to create a copy of the third project, that is project 3, and get a 4 out of that. So to do that, you press Control on the keyboard whilst you just select and drag the tree. So we just right click and edit it to rename, and we call it project 4. Perfect. So you just double press the enter key to open it. Good. So we can then combine Alt F11 to trigger open our code editor. Just make this way. That's okay. Good. So like I said, now we're going to clear everything here except the sub procedure, that is the beginning sub and then the end sub. So you just select this. All these we'll be repeating them though, but then I don't want this copy and paste and editing stuff. I want to start everything from beginning to the end, please, for better understanding sake. So we'll clear this to here. Perfect. So now even if we should run anything here, that won't happen. So that is that, because we just cleared the macro. There's nothing there to run again. Okay. Now first thing first, what we need to do is to still declare our variables we just cleared right now. We need to declare them once again. So we say dim. Okay, we need to pass a comment. Excuse me. Yes. Oh, sorry. Now we need to comment on what we're going to do here. So we say just variable declaration. Perfect. So that's now the first variable is going to be say dim. I know by now everybody understands what's going to happen here. Dim cast name, that is customer name, as what? It's going to be a string. You can guess that. Tab it over. And then the second one is going to be what? Dim transaction date, okay, which is coming from here. Yeah. So we say what? Dim transaction date as date, because that is the data type. It's going to be date. And then the third one, going to dim transaction amount, trust amount as what? Currency, because you're dealing with money, talk of currency there. Tab it over. Now the fourth one, I'm going to dim that is payer's name as string as well, because this is going to be a combination of characters. Say dim POS name as also string. Tab it over. Now the next one, the payer's contact is to say dim POS contact. Contact as also what? String. Good, as string. Perfect. Then the next one, we're going to dim the new row, because we that in our previous lesson we talk of how we can easily just determine the new row and then store our data without having to loop. So it's all going to take place here. So we dim it to say, sorry, dim, just name it new row, dim new row as long, and I explain what long is what, just a number. And what we are declaring here is this, but these numbers here, they are just numbers, positive numbers. Long can be negative or positive number, but in this case, you can see the row numbers are all positive. So that is why we're declaring it as what, long. Now here, the object itself is now here. So we say dim, that is the worksheet object. So we say dim sh as what, worksheet. Okay, worksheet. Perfect. Just tab it over. Now, after declaring our worksheet as what is sh, we'll have to set it up. So to do that, we say set sh equal to sheet. Which of the sheet? We are talking of the data sheet, this particular sheet. Okay, so we call the name data into bracket. Perfect. So we are done with that. Sorry, close this and then close the brackets. So now we are done with that. Now that we set our data sheet as what, sh, whenever we want to call our data sheet, we don't have to call the data sheet here again. We just call sh and then we'll be good to go. Now we need to assign, the next we need to do is now to assign values to our variables. Okay, so let's do that. So we say, let's comment on that. So we say assigning values to variables. Perfect. Now to start with, we say what, with what, with sheets, because all those values will be coming from what, the sheet called form. That is the form sheet, this particular sheet. All those values will be taken and will be coming from here. Okay, so we say with sheets with the s, and then into bracket, which of the sheets, that is the form. Okay, so we say what, form. We want to do something. What we want to do, so anytime you start with you just end with. Always don't forget to do that, else you run into an error. Perfect. So with the sheet called form, we want to assign values to our variables we declare at the top here. So to start with, it's going to start with the customer name. You can just double click on it to copy it. Sorry, let me just undo this. Control C to copy this. So we want to set the customer name, whose cast name is equal to what? It's equal to dot range into bracket. Where is it coming from? It's coming from this C name. Okay, this is it. So Control C to copy, and then Control V to paste, and then close this. C name dot value. What we are saying is that what is coming from here is what we want to store into this cast name. So whenever we call on cast name, we'll be able to what, return that value. So example, I've set this example already in our previous lesson. So I can just say Rashida. So here as a value here, because we are saying that whatever value is that is here, we want to store it inside this cast name. So to check on that, let's come up here. So to check on that perfectly, let's run a message box and see what's going to happen. Message box should be what, cast name. Okay, so now when I run this macro here, should return Rashida for us as the message. So perfect. So this is because the dot range C name, which is coming from here, whatever information that we have from this is going to be stored inside this cast name. So when we call this cast name as our message, it returns that value. So basically, so let's do it with it. We don't need it. Okay, so we continue with our variables, assigning values to our variables. So we copy this, Control C to copy here, Control V to paste. Then we say this is also be coming from where? Here. Okay, that's transaction date. So we say dot range into brackets this. So you can copy this. Control C, transaction date. Then leave this and then Control V to paste it and close dot value. That is the value that is coming from that area. Then the next one, I'm going to talk of the transaction amount. Control C to copy it, Control V to paste it, is equal to dot range into brackets. Now we call this transaction amount, control C to copy, control V to paste, and then that dot what value. Perfect. So by now you should be able to do the rest. We've repeated this thing several times, so by the time we finish this, you should become used to this. Now player's name is equal to what? Dot range into bracket, then we take that from here. This control C to copy this, and then control V to paste dot value. Perfect. Now we talk of the player's contact, and then control C to copy it. Just to copy that, and then we come here, control V to paste. This is equal to dot range into brackets. Then we take that from here as well, control C to copy. Sorry, control V to paste, and then that dot value. Sorry. Perfect. Now we are done assigning values to what our variables. Sorry, let me just close this guy. Now I want to determine the last row with data and add 1 to it to get to the next row without data. I hope you already know that. Since we've already declared our what's the name, new row, which is holding the data as long, we just have to determine that number, okay, that row number. What's going to happen here is this. Let me just explain it. If this is the last row with data, okay, we'll just add 1 to this. So let's say the last row with data, which we've declared as long, and I say it's an integer, which can be positive or negative, but in this case it's negative, and that is 17. So since we declared this as it, so what we're going to happen is this: when we determine this row, we just add 1 to it, making it 18, and that will be this row with what? Without data. So we just pour our data in here. Perfect. That is that. So let's do that with just one line of code. Okay. So we say what? New row. Sorry, new row. The reason why we are able to access or call this new row is because we already declared it. Else we can't use it. It's equal to what? Sheet. Which of the sheet is coming from the sheet called data, which you just saw me explaining our data. This particular sheet here, this sheet data dot range. Which of the range is it coming from? It's coming from the column A. Okay, it's going to be determined from this particular column. First column is the column A. Then say A. Then we would want to concatenate it to what? The rows.count function. So say rows dot, that is what we're going to count the rows for us. Rows.count, and close the bracket, dot end, that is the last row, into bracket excellent. So it means start checking from the top, excellent, into bracket dot row. So you get to the row with what? Data. Then you do what? Sorry, you add let me see, dot row, and you add 1 to that. So perfect. So when it gets to the last row with data, which is what? 17. If this is the last row with data, which is 9, it's going to add 1 to it, and that is 20. That is the next row without data, and there our data will be stored in there. So now I want to write to the empty row which we've just discovered now. So after finding our empty row, we'll have to write to it. Okay, we'll have to write to that. So we say what? So to that we say what? With sh. Why sh? So we say end with. Let's end that before we even explain this. Anytime you start with you end with. Perfect. That is that. Now we are saying what? With. You can see this with and then the end bit of it. This with then the end bit. So with sh, meaning with sheet. Which sheet are we talking about? That is the worksheet. That is the data. We set it out. We say what? With sh, set sh is equal to sheet. Which of the sheet? Because we have multiple sheets here, so we need to refer to the name, which is the data. So now we are calling that sheet here because we already set it here. Else we wouldn't have been able to use. So that is the object we're talking about. That is a worksheet object. We declare it to be able to use it to simplify codes. Like by now we should have been saying that sheets equal to sheet into brackets, then we refer to the name of the sheet dot range, which is too long. Okay, so we just say with sheet, that is with sh, which we already declared. That is a worksheet, that is the data sheet. Okay, we set it here. So now instead of saying with sheet into bracket data dot range, we just say with sh, then we can refer to that. It's going to be simple. Okay, so now let's continue with that. So we say what? Now we want to start writing to this particular range. That is a range we just discovered without row, or sorry, without data. Okay, so we say dot cells into brackets. That is a new row. The new row, there are cells on that new row. We want to do something to that new row, comma 1 into bracket dot value is equal to this particular variable. Because I'll explain that. So, sorry. It's equal to Control C to copy this. Control V to paste. Now we've just written what is coming from here, because we said, as we explained before, we said whatever that is coming from here should be stored inside cast name. So this means, what this means is that whatever the user enters here should be stored in this customer name. And then in that case, when we come to the data sheet, what we are saying here is that with the empty row we just discovered, we want to write to the first cell. How are we making reference to that cell? We say what? Dot cells. Which of the cells? The cells on the new row, the first column, that is the column 1 dot value, which means this particular cell, the value of it is equal to what? Customer name, and that is what is coming from here. Now, as you can see, I'm sure this is very, very clear. Okay, let me go over again for better understanding. What I'm saying is this. Now we've just used this line of code to discover the next row without data on our data sheets. So now we are now ready to what? Store our data now, starting with what? The name, before we come to the date, amount, PS name, PS contact, and all that. So we start with the name. So to do that, we say what? Dot cells on that particular new row. That is a new row now. Dot cells. Which of the cells are we talking about? The cells are numerous: 1, 2, 3, 4. Which of them are we starting with? Say what? Dot cell dot. Sorry, dot cells into bracket. New row, comma 1. That is the first one. The first cell here on the first column. That is the column 1. Okay, column 1. Dot value is equal to customer name, meaning we are storing our customer name here. So now to get the rest, to get that of the date, amount, and blah blah, we can just copy this and do some editing stuff. Okay, so just Control V to paste it. Control V to paste. Control V to paste. I'm done now. Now the next one is going to be what? Transaction date is going to be stored here. That is the second column. So we edit this to be what? 2. And then we copy this. Control C to copy. Then we select this. Then Control V to paste. Transaction date. Now we edit this to 3, which is what? The third column. That is the amount. So we copy this. Transaction amount, and then Control V. Now we then move to the fourth column, which is what? PS name. That is this. So we just edit this 4, and we copy this. Control C to copy. Control V to paste. And I'm sure you understand what all these variables are by now. I believe you understand. This shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Perfect. Now we go to the last one. Just copy this. Control C to copy. Control V to paste. That's the fifth column, which is the PS contact. So we can use 5. So now we are done writing to that. Okay. So now if we should just go and enter information here, like transaction date is maybe okay 10 2020. Effects amount is 2,000 or whatever, blah 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 blah. PS name Halima. PS contact. Let's do that. So we're going to run this with our F8 key, so that this is going to happen here. Sorry, let's just move this. Now I want this to be on data sheet because we will not activate, so I want to see what's going to happen here. Okay, so let's run the F8 keys. All these are variable declarations, so nothing's going to happen here. So now it has just, with this line, it has just discovered our row. Now I want to start writing to it, to F8. Is there. Now we move on to the second one, which is what? The transaction date, which we've taken from here. Okay, that is the form. Let's store it inside this variable. .20 date, blah blah. The data coming from there is going to be stored in, so we call it now F8. It's also stored now. Now we move on to the what? Amount. F8 is stored. Let me just increase this. Perfect. Now then we come back here. Move on to the next one. F8 stored. So the last one. So we are done now. We have everything stored in there for us. Perfect. Now everything seems working. So now that we are done, you can see that even if we should come here and then, let me just stop this for now. Run this, it will paste the data here for us. So it has pasted another one again. If you should run it, it will still paste it there for us. Okay, so That is that. It's just pasting there for us. Perfect. Now everything is working without any problem with that. So we check, can see that it's pasted right here, like that. Good. So now the next thing I want to do is, now that we are done with that, now we need to make sure that after the data is sent there, initially whenever the data is sent there, it switches to that sheet. So that is the data sheet. We don't want it like that, but now I can see that it's even sticking to that. It means it should be. So now, but we still need to write that to make sure that it's working. Okay. That is to make sure that we remain on this particular sheet after submitting our data. So to do that, we just have to activate the sheet 1. So we say what? Sheet 1, sorry, sheet 1 dot what? Activate. Sorry. Perfect. So this will activate the sheet after. So we'll just remain here. Let's go and check and see that it's still been added like that, the same data. Okay. Then after that, we need our information here, which says last execution. So you can see that now it's not updated. Okay, because let's say our date and current time. Our date right now here is 28th, what's the name? June 2021, and then the time is 8:17 here. Although my time is not correct, okay, but let's manage it like that. Okay, like you can see, it's not matching with what is here. Here you have 27. So let's clear this and then write the new line of code to be able to track the updated time and then dates. All that. Okay, so it's a sheet 1 again. What's going to happen on the sheet form, the form sheet? So it's a sheet 1 dot range. Sorry, we are writing to this particular range. That is C17, where that information is just going to be displayed. That is C17 here. Okay. Dot range into brackets C17 bracket close. Okay. Dot value. Dot value is equal to what? It's equal to, let me write that information. It's equal to last execution info, meaning last execution information. Okay. So we say data submitted successfully. Data submitted successfully. Then we list after this. Then we concatenate it with the now function. Okay. The now function should return the current date and time. Okay, so that is that. Now the next thing is, when we run this now, it should have that information displayed. So the next line of action is make sure we clear this and prepare prepare the form again for next inputs, okay, or next data to be taken. So to do that, it's a sheet 1. Sorry, what am I saying? Am I sure I'm spelling this is correct? Okay. Sheet 1 dot range, each of the range, we type it over into bracket. I'm talking of this particular range here. C name, Control C to copy this, Control V to paste. Dot clear content, tab it over. So when we run it, after running it, this particular content will be declared. That is for the first one. So now we need the rest to be also declared. Okay, so we just copy this, Control C to copy this, and then second, third, fourth, fifth. Now we need to edit them. So we have this to be what? Control C to copy. That is there. Control V to paste. Third one, Control C to copy this, and double click to select this, Control V to paste. Fourth one, Control C to copy, double click, Control V to paste. And fifth and last one, select this, Control C to copy, and then Control V to paste perfectly. So now if we should run this, it will just clear our information for us. So let's just see. Sorry, Rahman again. Okay, so let's just submit it. Perfect, it's cleared and then it's submitted. So I think we are done, and then everything is now working perfectly without any problem, without any stress. So based on our topic for this particular lesson, we're talking of what? Object, what's the name? Variables. Okay, and the one we decided to talk about here is what? The worksheet object. So, and then we declared it here as a variable. It's a dim essay as well, worksheet. That's how we declare it. Okay, and we set it to what? Sheet data. So now the good thing is that we wouldn't be repeating sheets into bracket data in our codes again, you can see there is nothing like that. So inside of that, since we already set sh as that, whenever we want to do that, we say what, sh. Else we would have taken off this with and then end with, then we say what, sheet, what's the name, sheet into bracket data dot range blah blah blah, which is lengthy, okay, and boring. Pros, and then legends don't write codes like that. It's the beginners that do that. So we are just, you see, we started from what the beginners write to what the legends write. So we are now going to the top. It's a gradual process. We'll get there, God willing. So that is that. You can keep trying it, and then the next lesson we're going to look at another object, that is a workbook object, where all this data we wouldn't be storing it on this particular sheet again. We'll store it on a different workbook. We'll create a different workbook which is serving as our database. Can keep it somewhere else in the system, and then our data is going to be stored there without any problem, without any stress. So that is that. You always see yourself collecting data from here. It is you, the writer or the programmer, who knows where the particular file that is holding that data. That is what we'll be looking at in the next lesson. So till then, I say thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.